Wake that ass up.
Early in the morning.
The Breakfast Club.
Morning, everybody. It's DJ MV, Angela Yee, Charlamagne the Guy. We are The Breakfast Club. We got a special guest in the building.
What up?
One of
what
the
up?
owners of Brooklyn Chop House.
Yes,
also
indeed.
a name that rings bells in the music industry.
For a long time.
A friend of all ours, Pooh.
What up? What up? What up?
You were just mentioning the Cameron
What
song
up,
the
baby?
other day. Cameron was saying thank you because you gave him some money when he needed it before
Oh
he had his deal.
yeah. So back in the days when when Cameron was first coming out, I recognized that talent, and I was actually trying to sign him, but I was late to the game. He had already signed his deal, so I said, you know what? I'm developing another artist. Can you help me? Do a few records in the studio. So he said, I bet. So him and Jim Jones came through. And they helped me and develop this hot record. We did this record, Baby, 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 and a couple other joints. And, I recognized them first. So, I was shocked when I heard it. I was like, oh.
That's nice.
That he
That was
remembered.
crazy. Yeah, he shot the video.
Who was the artist?
Pretty Boy. It was actually
okay.
Foxy
Foxy
Brown.
Boy Gav.
Foxy Brown's brother.
Shout out to
Gav. What up,
Gav.
Gav?
You turned Cam on to the franchising business too.
Yeah,
I heard back in the day.
he was inspired by a lot of stuff that I was doing. So he was like, let me try a couple and do a couple of things too. So that was dope.
I feel that because, first of all, let's be clear, Pooh is from Brooklyn.
Absolutely.
And
Brooklyn,
represents
what up?
Brooklyn to the fullest and has a great musical
Runs
background.
through my veins.
Finding Foxy Brown
Absolutely.
at
so,
an early age. Talk about Foxy, because she was really young. I remember when she first came on the scene with LL Cool J.
Absolutely. So, shout out to Gav and Anton. So, I used to have this barbershop called Moods in Brooklyn, and a lot of artists used to come through.
You cut hair or you just owned the barbershop?
No, I just owned the barbershop.
Okay.
I had a
He
few
had a lot of
barbers.
things going on.
I had a few things. So I was
You know what they
always
say
into-
about people that own barbershops?
Yes, you know what that
they usually
is.
do. But go ahead.
Trying to hide some money.
Jesus Christ. Y'all going to incriminate the man like
30
that?
years ago, man.
Come on, it's
That don't
over.
mean
That was
nothing.
30 years ago.
It's 30 years ago.
So,
Jesus
so yeah, so I
He's
was
here
trying
now.
to, I'm here now. So yeah, we had the barbershop and Biggie used to come through, and Shine used to come through, and then a lot of people from the neighborhood used to get their hair cut, so they recognized I had this affiliation with a lot of artists, and then I was on the road with Biggie, really, cutting my teeth in the game, learning the management game, supporting the management team by running with Big, and then became a friend with him, and then, Ant and Gav was like, yo, why don't you check my sister out? So I, listened to her, and I said, you know what, we're going to rock. So we, did some demos, and then next thing you know, we got our break on LL's record, I Shot Ya. And then, that blew up, and then, Bidding War began, and then she ended up getting a deal. We did this record with Jay-Z, Ain't No. We toured for we went on a weekend tour every weekend. It was Jay, me, her, our team, Irv Gotti, Damon Dash was just rocking. The record blew up, and then she put out an album, and the rest was history. She blew up.
What did it take to make a superstar back then compared to today's time?
Well, it was a little different back then. We didn't have the social media, so it was a lot of mixtapes. It was a lot of, doing verses on other people's records. We did a couple of verses. We did this joint with Case, Touch Me, Tease Me. We did a couple of records, and then those records turned into videos, and then the next thing you know, we were out there, and she could spit. She was different. She had that, tone. And then, next thing you know, we just blew up, put out the album, and went platinum.
Whatever happened with Foxy though, because she had a great album,
Absolutely.
and she had another album that came out, and then it just seemed like things just dwindled off.
Yeah, she kind of, she was doing her thing for a while. She did actually put out 3 albums, and then she's a mom now. Shout out to her and Baby C. And she just fell back a little bit, and she had a issue with her hearing, so she just kind of fell back. But hopefully she's making we're gonna see or hear from her soon.
You
I
still
see
keep
her-
in contact with her?
Yeah, I speak that from
I
time
see
to
her
time.
brothers still be at the restaurant, too.
Oh yeah. Shout out to Gavin and yeah, they always come through and support. So they've been big supporters as well.
That
You
means
know
a
what's
lot when you still have great relationships with people, I think, who you came up with in the game. Because we see people fall out all the time over things, but I see you all the time still rocking with the people that you've been with for decades.
Yeah, I think that's just a testament to my relationship with different people in the game and people that are not in the game. So, it's just good to have those relationships because you just never know when it's going to parlay into something else.
You know what I thought about just now, even when it comes to artists, I think the reason a Foxy Brown can still be mentioned today and people will still recognize her is because of all that hand to hand y'all did back in the day, like actually going to meet people and touch people. I don't think you can develop that connection with social media.
Yeah, you're right. It was a little different back then because we actually had to go on the road and touch everyone versus you making a post and then everyone seeing it, at the same time. You reach a lot of people faster, but you're right. The connection and touching people and going to London and getting on London radio and doing all those things was, it was a more personal connect when it came to, artists and then, individuals in the music business.
Now, you've always had an entrepreneurship spirit. I want to know where that came from because, like you said, you had the barbershop. You also had the club in Brooklyn.
Absolutely, Club Rain.
Club Rain, which was infamous. I remember going there, and I actually even DJ'd there when I used to halfway DJ.
Absolutely. I remember you coming through there. But, a lot of my, a lot of my inspiration came from my parents. I watched them. Even though they weren't entrepreneurs, but, I watched how they worked, saved up and did what they had to do for their family, for our family. And then at the same time, at the age of 12, I was packing bags in the supermarket. So I always wanted to make a little extra change, and that's why I was making change, technically, back in the days. And then, I watched Puff do his thing. I had a lot of inspirations and a lot of images of, business owners and entrepreneurs earlier on. And I said to myself, you know what, that's kind of what I want to do, start my own business, do my own thing. From what I grew up with, I didn't have a lot of them, but I had a few. There was a few business owners I knew. There was, the negative guys. There was the street guys that I kind of identified with earlier on. But at the end of the day, it was, the business people I respected and, took that energy and, always wanted to own my own business.
So what came first, the music or the club?
The music came first. So
okay.
I had the barbershop first, then I got into the music business after that, and then I ended up opening a club later on, like 5 years after that. And then
that's a tough business, by the way, the club.
Oh, very tough. I got out. I was in and then out, but we had a good run for about a year. Shout out to my partner Diamond, rest in peace to him. That was my partner in the club, and
What year was this?
This was 2003 to 2007.
And you could see anybody in there. This
was
like on
it was
some
like
side street in Brooklyn.
A hot Brooklyn joint.
Lil Kim, Mano, Raekwon, just random on random nights. They would
Absolutely.
Be in there.
Everybody come through, show love. So it was a good little run. And then after that, I started to get into more of the franchising business.
Before you do that, what happened with the firm? Were you involved with? Did you create the firm group? Was that your idea?
Oh, it wasn't my idea, but I ended up being a part of it. So that was Nas, Foxy, AZ, Nature. They kind of and Carmega. They kind of got together and formed it. We just were the executives behind it. Steve Stout.
Yeah, I remember
myself.
seeing your name on the album.
Yeah. We helped put the whole thing together because every artist was signed to a different label, so it was a little difficult to kind of put the album together. But it ended up being on Columbia, and then we all executive produced it and put it together, and it came out with the under the tutelage of the great Dr. Dre.
Was that difficult?
Yeah. It was definitely a process navigating through all the politics of all the labels because all those artists were hot. So I think every label wanted to have that album on their their
roster,
label.
right?
So but Nas was kind of like the leader of the group. So it ended up kind of going through.
That had to strain your relationship with Hov at the time too, right? Because of Hov and Foxy's relationship. Because I always heard that Hov didn't necessarily agree with Foxy being a part of the firm.
Yeah, because so at first they were talking about when at one point Foxy, when she first came out, she was really hot. So there was talks of like a Bonnie and Clyde album. It never really materialized. But then she also had a relationship with Nas, right, from earlier on, and they decided to do this. They talked about doing this album, but then it actually came to light. So yeah, and then Nas and Jay didn't really see eye to eye, but it was Foxy was kind of like that hot artist that both teams kind of wanted to work with, and she did big records with both of them.
Now, what about your relationship with Mary? You helped Mary with her.
Yeah.
Her
I
situation
actually was executive at MCA, and I formed a relationship with Mary through working with her on a couple of albums while I was there, and we became great friends. And even on the outside after I left, still to this day, we do deals together, work together. It was great working with her. I co-executive producer. She's the executive producer, by the way. Great legend. So it was just like a blessing to be able to work with her and to be able to have some success with her on that No More Drama album back in the days. It was, took me to another level.
Now, do you get these people free food when they come to the restaurant? All of these artists that you work with, like, do you have to comp their meals?
You know what? I try, but a lot of my friends
People want to pay and support.
Yeah, a lot of people want to pay and support. A lot of people come through, and no one really asks like for anything free. Like I offer, drinks. Like like come on, have a drink with me.
Or dessert. You guys definitely give us.
Oh yeah, we give out
dessert.
a lot of desserts. But for the most part, everyone really wants to support, especially all the bigger artists and bigger names that have supported and came through. Like it's been a blessing.
And it's important to note too, as far as being a Black-owned restaurant. Right. I think, what is it, below 60th Street?
Yeah, so there's not a lot of Black-owned restaurants, I guess, and from Central Park to Brooklyn Bridge. So it's a blessing to be able to own this restaurant and inspire other people to own restaurants. Shout out to my partners Dave Thomas, and shout out to the mad scientist Stratus. Who else puts the menus together and helps orchestrate a lot of the menu items that we have today, and a lot of vision that moving forward. A lot of the deals.
You signed Shine too, right?
Yeah. So what happened was, Shine was coming out of a barbershop, and he was like, "Yo, you Foxy manager?" I'm like, "Yeah. Who want to know?" I'm like, "Yo, I'm Shine." He was like, "And I'm nice." So he pulled out the black notebook and starts spit like just rhyming and spitting like for 2 hours. So I'm like, "Oh, yeah, ill. I need to sign you right away." So
you had nowhere to go, huh?
Huh?
You had nowhere to go that day, huh?
Oh,
2 hours.
No, I didn't move. Like,
But did you think
he had me like stuck.
Did you think he sounded like Biggie? Because I remember when he first came out, people used to be like, "Who is this?"
Absolutely, his tone was, and it was right. It was a little after, Biggie had passed, so his tone was similar. His style's a little different, but that tone, he had that that deep tone. So, I was like, "Bro, you're nice." So he was like, "Yo, what we doing?" So I ended up, signing him to my production company, and then I did a deal with Diddy, with Bad Boy, and then the rest is, history.
You had no reservations being that he sounded like Big, and Big was your man. And
I did at first, I didn't, and everyone did at first, but his style, I just knew he wouldn't be like him, right? His whole style, his whole movement, his whole, his swag was totally different than what Biggie was, and his subject matter still was. And I felt that Brooklyn connection because he's just like Big from Brooklyn. So his, that Brooklyn connection, that whole thing, everything he was spitting was just I just felt it. So I said, you know what, we're going to run with this.
How do you avoid having to take a side in certain situations, right? Because we talk about the Jay-Z versus Nas, and then it was Lil' Kim versus Foxy, but you could navigate between those crews of people. Did you ever feel pressured, like, I have to?
Nah, not really. I think there was a lot of that out there in the media, but for me, a lot of these people are my friends. It's still my friends today. So again, I don't know if it's my relationships with everyone, because I was on the road with Big before I had Foxy, so I had a relationship with Kim. So, and then Kim and Foxy were friends. So after the hype and the media and who's better in the competition, everybody starts to pit people against each other. That's what happens with those relationships. But the relationships behind the scenes, like I was never, beefing with, their side. It was never beefing me. It was all about, for me, it's business.
Right.
Nothing personal. This is all business.
How did you initially get the finances to start all of this stuff?
I mean, it was just me investing, working hard, and putting my money behind my name. I bet on myself. So the barbershop wasn't hard. It was doing a barbershop. Then it was getting on the road. Then it was the music business. Then I did really well in the music business. Then I transitioned that into franchising. Then franchising into my own brand. So
let's talk. We didn't talk about the franchising.
Yeah. So we want to So what I did was I got an opportunity after I had the club to franchise Papa John's Pizza. So a friend of mine came to me and said, I have this opportunity, and I partnered up with him with a 16-store deal in New York City.
Dope.
So we end up opening 8, and then I got the opportunity from there to open up IHOPs in Brooklyn. And then we end up opening those IHOPs. Today we have 3 IHOPs in Brooklyn. So I took the development deal for the whole territory, and then from there I had an opportunity to do Checkers. So I opened up a few of those. So, but I want to say there's definitely a lack of participation from on the minority side in the franchise community as a whole. So I'm getting together with a few Wall Street guys I met through Brooklyn Chop House down in the financial district to kind of put a fund together to support and to invest in entrepreneurs and minority-owned franchises for people to get into it, because it's hard to navigate through.
Right.
The
People don't have the information.
It's the information.
Right.
So people don't have the information, and I have the information, and people ask me all the time, how do I start a franchise? How do I get in? Because, it's everything from site selection to being approved financially to having experience already. So it's a catch-22 sometimes, because a lot of the franchisors want you to have the experience and the capital to do it.
Correct.
And the two usually don't mix. Sometimes you have people with capital with no experience, and some people with experience that's been in the food business or the food and beverage for a long time, but don't have the capital or can't get access to capital and finances. So we're trying to create something that puts all those things together and give them the information to connect the dots to where to go from, business services, accounting, to lawyer services, to, negotiating leases, to finding locations, to dealing with franchisors, to dealing with the franchise, the actual franchise agreement, to understand all of the parts and pieces that you need to navigate through and to successfully, start a franchise, because it's there. It's just having, like you said, having the information
and the knowledge, right?
And the knowledge, doing it similar to what you've been doing, giving people the knowledge.
He doesn't know anything about real estate. That's what the streets say. How difficult?
He's killing it.
How difficult is it?
I'm watching. I need in.
No, he's doing his thing, but people don't think he knows what he's talking about. How difficult is it to get in as a franchisee?
It's a process. So it's not a 1, 2, 3, like you just sign up and you're in. It's a process. So you have to get approved. You have to qualify. So those are some of the things that we want to kind of share, get that information out and share that the opportunity is there, give you the information on how to do it, but it takes some time. It could take 6 months to a year to get qualified, and then, you have to build your restaurant, you have to find a restaurant, you have to negotiate a lease, you have to build a restaurant, you got to open a restaurant, you have to staff the restaurant, you have to hire people, it's just...
That's the hardest part, because a lot of these restaurants, they don't cost a lot to open.
Right.
It's just getting through all that paperwork.
Right, getting through the paperwork and then have access to financing. Because that's the holdback a lot for a lot of entrepreneurs, is finding the access to capital as well. So I want to try to open up some doors. Anybody out there want to holler at me at Don Pooh Music? Plug.
And I will say, Don Pooh is very accessible. When I decided I wanted to do the juice bar, the first thing I did was call Don Pooh and be like, do you have some time to sit down with me? I just wanted to talk to you about some things. And a lot of things I said I was going to do, I did end up doing. And one of the main things that Don Pooh said was a lot of people will come to him and ask him for advice, but then they don't act on it.
Absolutely. That's been the biggest thing. And, you reached out, you were opening up the juice bar, and you reached out like, hey, what do you think? I'm like, oh man, doing your own business in that location, in that area, and made total sense. So a lot of people, don't follow through after they, reach out, which is, I can't, I don't know why, but, it takes that determination.
It's hard to take that first step for a lot of people.
And it's hard to take that first step for a lot of people, because a lot of people are in that comfort zone. And, it takes, and I applaud all you guys for, diversifying and all of the things that you guys are doing. And that's the key, being diversified,
That's the biggest thing when I talk to most people, when I do the seminars. The biggest thing is they're scared to take that first step.
Right.
So if there's let's say 1,000 people there or 4,000 people there, you probably get 5% that actually will go towards and try. The other just hold that information, and I'm hoping that one day they'll get and be like, let me just try, because most people are just scared to take that first step.
You know what the problem is too? A lot of times when people are having these conversations with other people, It's the finished product talking to somebody who hasn't even started the process.
Correct.
That is true.
And so they're looking, I want that now. But it's a process to get to Don
Right.
Pooh, to get the, even though you don't know what you're talking about, to get the envy. You know what I'm saying?
It's definitely a process, but I think if we give them an example for them to look at, you bring the new person that just did it, right? For them to look at, like, and have them give their testimony on
That's a great idea.
what it took for them to take that first step. Then it feels like, oh, he's like me. He's not envy. He's not, like too far gone. Like, that's easy for him. Like, he did it.
Yeah.
So like I'm hearing, but like he did it. But if you get testimonies from people that just signed up, that just did their first
They got their first checkers.
Yeah, their first closing.
did their first
Papa
restaurant,
John's,
first one, then it becomes a lot more, and it connects.
Absolutely.
It connects a little better.
Now you opening up at the American Dream. Did that open yet?
Yeah, American Dream. Just the entertainment park open. So yeah, I have a dealer open there, but that's going to be a little further down the ways. The Brooklyn Chop House pretty much took off, so we're trying to focus on that.
Congratulations!
And you
with the
guys did a
Brooklyn Chop
pop
House.
up in the
doing in
Hamptons
Jersey?
all summer.
No, we did a pop up in
the Hamptons.
2 years in a row.
You should do a Brooklyn Chop House in Jersey, like he said.
But
Okay,
American Dream
that's
in Jersey?
American Dream is in Jersey, but we don't know if he's doing Brooklyn Chop House there. If he's doing
Right. So we
got you.
We're just trying to.
We don't know what he's doing there.
I'm trying to look at it, because sometimes you just have to, not jump too soon. You just have to look at how everything unfolds. Like it's gonna be a monumental project, and I think it's gonna be a world class, destination spot. So we're gonna see how it unfolds and which, concept that I'm working on will fit with.
Absolutely.
With that after it unfolds. So it's definitely something that we're looking at.
Thank you so much. Thank you for putting my plaque on the wall too at Brooklyn Chop House, man. I appreciate that. I got a plaque
Plaque
there.
for what?
For me going there all the time and
I'm
supporting.
about to say, I know it wasn't for no music.
Have you been there yet? Have you been there?
No.
You gotta get over. You gotta come over, man.
You gotta
And
come
we
over.
just did a deal with Walmart too for our dumplings. So
Yeah, because ain't you doing something with Patti LaBelle? Is that it?
yeah. Patty's our partner. So shout out to Charles Suit. He actually
Charles.
brought Patty to the restaurant, and she loves it there. And then we talked, and she's doing really well with her line of frozen foods. So we're doing frozen foods at Walmart in 2020. So shout out to them. Shout out to Patti LaBelle for kind of guiding us on the way in there and partnering up with us on this venture. So we're hoping to launch that in 2020.
And for Brooklyn Chop
Excited
House, the
about that.
dumplings are a staple on the menu. They have a whole section of just different types of dumplings, combinations you wouldn't even imagine.
Absolutely, we're creative with our dumplings. We basically turn sandwiches into dumplings. So we have some very creative and unique dumplings, which also drew attention to us doing a frozen line of those dumplings and our meal solutions as well.
My favorite is the edamame dumplings. Just putting that out there.
There you go.
Salt, pepper, lobster.
So what's the better hustle, music or the food industry?
Well, it gives me a chance to diversify the food and beverage and the hospitality business. But my heart is in music, so it could be. But music business for me has been like a roller coaster, and for many people, there's been a few people that's mastered it. That's been able to just keep it there. But for me, I just wanted to diversify, and I think they're both, depending on the times. I think they're both. Okay. They're both good.
You know what really helps you too? Having your music background and the relationships you have, and then having a restaurant where those people can actually come. Because every time somebody's like, where should I go eat? I'm like, go to Brooklyn Chop House.
Absolutely.
And I send people there all the time because it is an amazing place. And just numbers wise, right? They always talk about how difficult the restaurant business is, and how hard it is for a restaurant to open and actually stay open and be successful.
It is.
So how long did it take for you guys? Like, are you out of the red now, or does it still take some years? What are your projections?
I think we're like getting there. We've had a great start. But one thing you touched on is that business is a tough business. Has a pretty high failure rate.
90% of all restaurants fail within the first year.
Yeah, absolutely. So for us, we're blessed to have, got past that first year, and hopefully get to year number 10 and year number 20 and restaurant number 6 to 10 and get a frozen food line. But what minimizes that risk a lot of times is the franchise model. So because they have a system in place, they have a brand, you have support. So that minimizes and brings down those numbers actually by investing in brands that, work well within the location that you put, or the area or the demographic that you put that brand in. So that kind of franchising actually minimizes that, that risk a little bit.
And you got a book coming out called How I Hopped.
Yeah.
I hop, baby.
Yeah, so a lot of the businesses that I've been in, so from hip hop, is basically based on hip hop, I hop, and chop, which has hop in it.
Brooklyn C-hop.
So it's basically how I navigate my entrepreneurial journey through, these different industries, and how I've been able to navigate and really to inspire and to actually give information on starting your own business and taking that first step, and going from navigating and diversifying your portfolio into having 7 streams of income, which is what we all kind of shoot for.
Right.
Well, why not a Don Pooh hopscotch tournament?
Shut up, man.
That'd be dope.
Shut up, man.
Hip hop, I hop, hopscotch.
And what about
That'd be
philanthropy?
crazy.
What are your thoughts on philanthropy and how people should give back when they get to a certain level? Because we know you're starting the whole fund
Right.
that you're doing. But when did you decide that, okay, I've gotten to a certain point in my life, it's important for me to give back?
Well, that's always been, in a part of my, entire plan, because it's important, no matter what you do, to kind of reach back and pull people with you, because that's what's important to me, because just holding the information for yourself, whatever that may be, is not, is you have to pull people in. Someone had to give me the information to do what I did, right? So it's good to help others, and also give back. And I applaud you guys for what you guys were doing in your mental health initiative.
Thank you.
That's why first thing I heard it, when I heard it on the radio, I was just driving. I was like, oh, I got to support that. So it's just supporting other people's initiatives, and also bringing your own, charitable arm to your own, your own company.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it so much.
And just know Brooklyn Chop House is open for lunch too. So
Yeah,
a lot of
yeah,
people
yeah,
trying to
yeah.
figure out, where do I go for lunch, or where do I come if I'm coming to visit New York? Where's a good place to go hang out? You never know who you might see at Brooklyn Chop House. I see you guys
Absolutely.
on page 6 all the time.
Absolutely. Thank you. You definitely come through Brooklyn Chop House. Even though it's called Brooklyn Chop House, it's in
It's in the
Manhattan.
city.
It's in Manhattan.
It's in the
That's right.
city.
It's right
I
by
just
the
wanna
Brooklyn Bridge.
Right by the Brooklyn Bridge. So definitely check it out. You guys won't be disappointed. Can't wait to have everybody. Thank you guys for having me.
Yes, sir.
This has been really dope, man.
All right. It's Don Pooh.
Thank you,
It's the Breakfast Club. Good morning.
my man.